Lokesters.
Season or episode 3. I was gonna say season 3.
My Loke.
My Loke. What's up, my Loke? My Lokesters. Yeah, super down.
Shall we set a timer?
Yeah, 15.
Young 15.
Yeah, let's do it. I was very impressed. I think they're still holding my attention, going into the halfway point. I would assume.
Yes.
So you're probably gonna get 6 again. Last season was 6. So
I would like to get 8.
Me too.
I'd be down for 8.
Me too.
You know,
Yeah.
just give me a little bit more. You know.
Yeah, I think if depending on what they do in the next few episodes, I could be okay with 6. Because I do feel like we're hitting a little bit of a halfway point in like this story. You know, Victor Timely's back at the TVA now.
Yeah.
So you know that puts us pretty far. Or no, he's not back actually, right?
We haven't really seen him back. So this episode, we basically get Mobius and Loki are on a hunt for I think Ravonna Renslayer because they're trying to figure out. So
they got the hit on the temp pad at the end of the last episode. Yeah.
They got the hit on the temp pad the last episode. This episode, OB is trying to fix the temporal loom. He's trying to add like a little contraption on it that will widen it out so it can handle all of the different threads.
Yes.
But then he comes to the realization that he needs someone. He needs the original creator's temporal aura in order to in order to access like the computers and shit that they have there. And they're like, who created the TVA? Oh yeah, Kang the Conqueror. God damn it. Guy. So they're like, all right, well maybe if we find Ravonna Renslayer, she can do it because blah blah blah. You know, she was the right hand person. Like she could obviously do it. I did like the part where Mobius is like, oh, can't you just like hack the system or something?
Yeah, he's like,
and
that's
great. Like, wow, that's great. You could do that. And he's like, no, I just thought you could. Yeah, I just thought
Loki's
you could do
like,
it.
I think he meant it as a question.
I love that because I don't know. I just love when TV or movies poke at stuff that's been made popular by TV or movies.
Yeah, it's very meta.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like it happened in The Fall of the House of Usher, right? There was like a part where they see someone on like the camera. The main guy is like, can you just like zoom and enhance it? And Mark Hamill's in that. And he's like the lawyer. He's like, I can't do that. Yeah. And he's just like, well, why not? And he's like, because that's not a real thing.
That's just in the movies.
And he's like, what are you talking about? I see it in the TV all the time. Like they say, hey, can you enhance this? And they press the button and it's enhanced. And he's like, I can zoom in on it. And he's like, all right, do it. And he zooms in. It's just still hella blurry. But I thought that was funny. Like I like the little digs like that. But then we cut to 1860, what is it, 1868 or something like that?
Yeah, because I think the next one is like 1888.
1898 or something like that.
Okay, yeah. So, like 20 or 30 years before.
Yeah. So, 1868, and we see Ravonna Renslayer, finally. We haven't seen her since last season. And she's there to meet Miss Minutes. When she meets Miss Minutes, she's like, hey, here's this TVA handbook. I need you to put it through that window. And then we also see Miss Minutes for the first time, which we haven't seen. Either, So, I thought that was great. I liked her little... I just like the way that she looks, like the graphics on her, like everything like looks really nice. It always looks like she's like standing on fucking some shit, you know, like.
The other thing I like about it too is like it doesn't. Well, it's aside from a little gag that they do, she doesn't conform to like the place that they're in. She was the design of her graphically was very much catered to the TVA, but when she moves through the time streams and stuff, like she still looks the same until is a great gag is Ravonna's like. You kind of stand out a little bit, and she's fucking whoop, boom, boom, and like switches into an old timey clock. She's like, "Is that better?" And you're like, as the audience member, you're like, "Haha, funny," but no, you're still a floating clock.
You're still a floating freaking thing that people in the 1800s are gonna think you're just a fucking ghost.
A ghost
which does happen. You know, later we find out that she's being reported about in the paper.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
But Ravonna does drop off the book till we see a young Victor Timely, a young Kang the Conqueror, who's doing some experiments or whatever in his room. And then I forget what happens after that. I think that's when we get like the title cut or whatever. Or like that.
We see the Loki thing, and then I think that's when, because that's the very beginning, and then we jump over to the Loki Mobius stuff that you're talking about, and they show up in the time where Ravonna dropped it first, and they're like, "What the fuck? There's nothing here. Why would she come here?" And then they also have the second date that they went to, which is when Victor Timely's grown up. And then they get there and they're at the World's Fair or whatever it is. It's some kind of science fair. Yeah. And Mobius is like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. How could I forget? And we're going to do some good old fashioned legwork. Loki's like, how the fuck were we going to find him here? And he's like, we're going to look, dumbass, go. Like,
exactly.
Get out there or whatever. So yeah.
I loved the like silliness of this episode.
Yeah,
like there are times where it's just straight up like silly.
Well,
you know, and it feels like an old timey cartoon.
Yes,
like I like that they added those aspects to it. I feel like they've kind of been. There's some 70s horror vibes that was going on in like the first like couple episodes, and now we get here and it's some like really like late 1800s, early 1900s like cartoony type like silliness going on. You got Victor Timely hiding behind a fucking wall and shit like that, you know, and people like running past him and not clearly just
super duper Scooby fucking dude.
Exactly,
yeah. No, I agree. I think it's very, very cool to see the entire production of an episode conform to the timeline of that episode, because like even the Marvel intro in this episode is done on the old ragtime piano. All of the themes, the Loki theme plays in that ragtime like style the whole entire show, the whole entire episode. So yeah, it's really cool, super unique, very, very creative. I like it a lot.
Hell yeah. How did you feel about Jonathan Majors coming back as Victor Timely?
He's really good.
He's so fucking good.
He's really good. It's insane. It's so kind of fucked up. It's just like, fuck. I don't think that I would want anybody else to be King the Conqueror. He's pretty fucking good. Like, no matter what you had to say, his performance was fine and good, even in Ant-Man Quantumanium still. But like,
it's crazy how all this shit happened with him, and Marvel never really like said anything. And they're kind of just like,
It was a weird situation. I don't know even what happened with it, really.
I think it turned out to not be true.
I think they made it look like it turned out to not be true. Because from what I understood, and we don't need to get into it too much, but apparently that woman that he had the terrible situation with, I think he hit her or like choked her or something, is like still with him, I think. She like went back with him and was like, never meant for any of this to happen, bobbity blah. I do not know. But yeah, he was never charged with anything, right?
Yeah.
Never went to court. It was all just allegations and stuff like that. So I don't know where it stands. I don't know if Disney's trying to make some moves behind the scenes or not. I think we've talked about it before. Obviously, the character that he's playing lends to having another actor play him. It's not going to be too unbelievable to be like, oh, there's another Kang variant out there that looks different than Jonathan Majors, you know? But it is unfortunate that all of this stuff kind of, you know, reared its head when it did, because it just puts a lot of sour and just, you know, potentially really bad energy on what is otherwise a really fucking fantastic performance.
Yeah, it was really fucking good.
Within the context of this episode, despite all of, you know, any possible feelings you might have outside of that, like, it's really hard not to see this dude's working his ass off to, like, play just, like, the really young, humble beginnings of this character. I don't know exactly where they're going to go with it, but from the way it's being presented, he almost feels to me like the first Kang, so to speak, you know? Maybe that's just because of, like, the timeline that they place him in. Yeah. But like the fact that this fool's creating a small temporal loom in like 1890 something, it's kind of hard not to see him as the one who probably built the TVA.
Yeah, so, with the lacking technology. Like he even says, he's like, if only I had technology of the future to like keep up with like the visions that I have, like now,
Kang is also a tricky motherfucker.
Yeah.
So who's to say that, you know, Victor Timely was an unremarkable Kang variant and an actual terrible, horrible, meaning Kang killed him and took his place. And is like, oh, if only I had the technology. You know what I mean?
Because we see him in this episode, like he does some like conniving, you know, shit. Like he has like the demonstration with his temporal loom, which visually looked fucking crazy.
Beautiful, yeah, it's good shit.
It's been a while since I've said something about that to Marvel, you know, like wow, that shit looked fucking beautiful, man. But that did look really good
so far.
Oh yeah, it looked fucking great. Yeah. But there's that dude who's trying to buy it from him at the end. He was like, and he has, you know, someone else who comes along and is like, oh, I also want to buy it. So they go in like a bidding war. Someone ends up paying him $1,000. Yeah. And you see that the guy that started the bidding war, you know, homie Victor slides him like, you know, a slick little $100 bill right there, you know, and you see like, oh, okay, he's up to some shit, you know, he's playing on some shit right here.
I like it because he is actually a genius, right? Because he can truly create these machines. But somebody says it later. I think it's Ravonna or maybe it's Sylvie. I think it's actually Sylvie. But like, he's presented as a thief and a trickster in this. And again, one of them says that, I can't remember. She's like, he's just stealing little trinkets and bits and bobs now, but eventually he's gonna steal time. He's gonna steal all of time from everybody. Like that's what you're breeding right now. Literally. That's what like allowing to blossom and shit. And I can't say that I'm super happy with the way Sylvie conducts herself, like for the most part of these first 2 episodes, but she does reel it in finally at the end of this first one, right? She's like a little bit too hardcore on the revenge path for me to like get behind it. I'm like, dude, chill the fuck. Like, how are you not seeing the fact that you will cease to have your home if you don't at least fix the loom right now, you know? Like type of shit or whatever. But
I mean, I get it, dude. It's like,
I do too.
If you were hunted down,
yeah,
you know, for some crazy shit, you know, for some grander scheme that you don't even understand until you actually get like captured for that shit.
Yeah.
I'd be pretty fucking pissed too if this person is just trying to dictate how all of time flows because, you know, something that initially, you know, so like I
understand her actions at the end of season 1. I'm saying in season 2 she's been annoying me because like all of time is literally falling apart, and like obviously every time like Loki and Mobius are presented as like our main protagonists, I would say. And like every time they get close to like something, Sylvie's like, I'm gonna fucking kill somebody, and just like shows up ready to slice heads and just creates like more chaos. So like she's just acting very much like a Loki right now. Not the Loki that we have, right? Like our new hero version of Loki, but just like classic emotionally driven Loki. And like I'm just like, chill out, dude. It's okay. Relax. It's fine. You're gonna figure it out. Don't
worry. It was
a
tense little standoff with Sylvie and Loki. I was down
Super
with
good.
it.
Yeah,
it was really fucking good.
I'm glad too that like they're presenting them as like, I would say equals. You know, like because I don't think they're gonna full on fight each other, but I could see it at one point or another, and I would like it if like neither one of them overpowered the other. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a standstill. They're both Lokis, so like it makes sense that they could like fight each other off. You know? But yeah, it's that's a super intense standoff. It's obviously even difficult for our Loki, like main Loki or whatever, to kind of like come to grips with the situation, because like he gets hit pretty heavily just when he sees his face. He's like, oh fuck, that's him. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, that's the fucking guy, bro. That's the one. And he's like, this fucker, like, you know, Mobius is obviously super nonchalant. Wow. He's like, he seems so like blah 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 or whatever. But yeah, by the end of it, we get some interesting I would say twists with the characters of, I think, both Ravonna and Miss Minutes. They kind of play this like will they won't they thing with Ravonna and Kang throughout like the majority of their interactions in the episode. They're kind of flirty with each other, and I haven't read any of these comics, but I have seen it at the very least that like Renslayer and King have had romance in the comic book. So I think it very much plays on those expectations that fans would have, because eventually we find out that, as far as we know right now, Renslayer is just playing him. Maybe she'll actually develop those feelings later. Who knows? But seems to be that she's just trying to secure her seat at the end of time, as they say, right? Whereas
Miss Minutes is just fucking
actually the one in love, which is obviously a big flip. You would expect the AI to be the one who's like, I just need to get this plan done, right? And the human to be the one who develops feelings, but it's a total reversal.
She's like, I love you, Dave.
Dude, seriously, yeah. It's like pretty creepy pretty quickly.
That was so fucking creepy, bro.
You kind of, because you feel it coming, right? She's kind of alluding to all these things of like, you built me and we spent so much quality time together, blah, blah, blah.
In the whole episode, there were so many times where like Renslayer would say something and you like, you like see her for like a split second and she's like rolling her eyes or like pissed. And then there was that comment that she made. She was like, Miss Minutes is like, well, before she came along, you built me.
I
and
was
blah,
the
blah.
one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, she's a little crazy obsessive. And then, then they get finally alone with each other. And she's like, oh my God, like, I love seeing you in your lab and all this stuff. And
the crazy thing
you never made me a body.
Yeah, that was the crazy thing, right? Was like they were insinuating it hard enough as it was. I was pretty surprised that they went full tilt and she's like, I just want to be your woman. I was like, what the fuck, bro? Holy shit.
Just trying to fuck.
They're going full on with this shit, dude. Yeah, I tripped. It was crazy. But it's good. Really, really good. I like it a lot because it kind of calls into question, I think, how in charge really, how much power truly does Kang actually have? Is he maybe putting on that facade and he's just trying to survive in this weird, vicious, endless cycle of him and Miss Minutes and the TVA, like constantly creating and destroying one another. Like, how much is he really controlling the situation? You know what I mean?
That's true.
I like it.
That's true.
It's good.
Yeah, it was really fucking good.
It's really good.
What do you think the secret is that Miss Minutes was talking about?
I didn't theorize about it too much, and I don't have any that I came up with. But since the timer's over, and because I liked what you told me so much, you go ahead with that one.
So I didn't even come up with it. I just saw it. I think I was scrolling on Twitter, and someone was like, "Hey, Renslayer could be a variant of Kang."
Yeah.
And I sat back and I was like, damn, that's
a good one.
It makes, I think, a lot of sense from like a mirroring of like your main characters, your antagonist and your protagonist, right? You have Loki and you have Kang.
Yep.
And then, Loki's mirror is obviously Sylvie, just because they're literally the same person. And then having that same thing going on with Kang, I think, would be super crazy. I
agree.
And the fact that they both sort of have this like entanglement thing going on where they are kind of down for each other is sort of like what Loki and Sylvie have going on, which would, I don't know, I think that'd be fucking crazy. And it makes sense that she would be, I was trying to figure out why she would be pissed about it, but I guess it would make sense in the fact that like you're mad, she would probably be mad figuring out that she's a variant of Kang, and she got put into the place of like just kind of being the overseer of the TVA and not the actual person.
It's like, if I'm Kang, why can't I take over?
Exactly.
What the fuck? Like, maybe that's what will happen. Maybe that'll be their secret out from Jonathan Majors, right? Is they introduce this concept because she's good. I don't know if she's good as Jonathan Majors, but she's good. So it could be that, right? That like maybe the pivot is like, oh, you actually have a woman Kang, and this is your Kang for Kang Dynasty and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Who knows? Yeah. We'll see. We'll get there. But I think that's a cool theory. Do I think it's true? Yeah. I don't know, though. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think
it's pretty plausible.
I liked it. I saw it and I was like, ooh, I fucking like that. And I think it just makes sense. Like it the whole show is dealing with variants and like this person from this branch timeline, this person from that branch timeline. Yeah. All these people of the TVA had their own individual lives before they even got to the TVA. They just got taken. They got their minds fucking wiped. And they're like, hey, you work for the fucking TVA. You didn't come, shit like that. So I think it would make sense. And the fact that she is pretty much the head of like all of that shit. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense that she's a king, so.
One other random one that's I heard, I can't remember who told me. I think it was either Diggs or my dad. But that the timeline that Sylvia's trying to make her home on is where Mobius is originally from. And beyond that, the cashier register, the little blonde kid at McDonald's is Mobius.
Oh, I would like that.
When he's a kid.
I'd be down for that. I think I saw that. Like,
he'll get ripped from the timeline at like some point in this season and like get turned into Mobius or something like that, Still running hot, yeah.
You always just gotta check with technology.
Yeah, of course.
You just always gotta fucking
too many
check.
bugs in the system, dude. You have to.
But all right, before we move on from Loki, what would you rate episode 3 on a scale of 1 to 10?
Probably like a high 9. I don't know. I haven't had any real issues, I don't think, too heavy. Yeah. With any of the episodes so far. So yeah, like a 9.5, if not just a 10, honestly.
Yeah, I would say I was thinking like a 9.5. Like,
it's really it's a weird scenario because it's like Loki is such a like high level thing that so many people seem to love that like it's almost like even when they have an off day, it's still so much better than like a lot of the other stuff coming out right now.
And I don't even feel like it was an off day. Like,
no, it wasn't. But yeah,
and I think it's continued from like I was saying like last week. Like what I've liked about these episodes is like there is a main plot to each episode. There's a start and the finish. There's a goal. There is something that the characters need to achieve by the end of that episode.
And then this is all still happening.
And they still achieve it, whether it's like they actually succeed or they fail. Like in this instance, like they kind of succeed, you know?
You get some kind of resolution to the problem they set
But then there still is that overarching story that that we're going to deal with by the end, but
Yeah, the timeline's still fucked and shit's going down. Yeah, it's good. It's a really good season.
Yeah. So I would say like a 9.5.
Yeah.
Again, if not a 10. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it's just hard.
It's hard. It's really hard. I want to just give everyone a 10 because I really can't think of anything. But then, if I think about it hard enough, there's a couple things here and there I didn't like. So it's like not perfect. But It's damn near it.
Damn
it's pretty
near.
good, man.
It's damn near, brother. It's damn near.
Pretty damn good.
But yeah, guys, Loki, go and watch that shit on whatever you want to fucking watch it. If you don't want to watch it on Disney Plus, fucking don't, because they kind of, they've been kind of sucky in terms of what they want to, how they want to help out their actors and all that stuff and shit like that. So.
Everybody has been. Everybody always will be.
So do what you want to do, but go and watch that shit, because I think Tom Hiddleston, Owen Wilson, and all the other fucking people working on the show are doing damn good fucking job. Especially in comparison to all the other Marvel shit that's been going on. This is like head, shoulders, knees, and toes above each thing everything that I've watched recently.
While I can agree with that, I wouldn't probably put the other stuff as low as you would. But yes, I do still agree that it's way better than the other stuff that's been coming in. For sure.
I just came up with that.
That's
Instead of being head and shoulders above, it's head, shoulders, knees, and toes, motherfucker.
Everything.
Head, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Knees and toes.